How can bridging music be used most effectively in a program? Well, I'm David, and find out in this video as we explore bridging music. In my other video on spacing, I talked about providing the listener with a kind of cue of what's to come. Well, adding a section of music in between two items is a great indicator for the listener. However, if it's not done well, it can be a real distraction to the listener, so it's really important to get this correct. So I'm going to play you an example, and let's see if you can figure out what's wrong with this.
God picked you to be friends of His Son, our leader Jesus Christ. And you can trust God. He will keep you strong for Jesus. (1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10). Don't split.
First of all, what is this music? Is this culturally appropriate to the listener? Secondly, I can't hear what she's saying because the music is just too loud. Thirdly, it ends pretty abruptly, and that just leaves it feeling untidy. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things that will help you use bridge music most effectively. First, how to choose music that is culturally appropriate to the listener. Second, different ways of using bridge music. And third, how to balance between the music and the speech. Before we begin, I should note that we're using multi-track mode to do this. This is so we can have the speech and the music on 2 separate tracks so we can mix them both together. It is important that the music you choose is culturally relevant. You don't want to have reggae music in the middle of a recording from Siberia. That will just stand out badly and bring down the quality of the whole recording. To work out whether your music is culturally appropriate or not, you should ask yourself the following questions. Will the listener recognize the music and the instruments used, or will it sound foreign to them? Is the music style connected to any pagan worship styles or rituals? Do the instruments have any religious significance? You should always ask your language helper and missionaries about what music or instruments is appropriate. I'm going to show you 3 examples of how you can use bridging music. You can use it between 2 items, in the beginning of a program, and at the end of a program. When adding music between items, it's always good to find a section or multiple sections that has a nice hook or a melody. Again, this is entirely up to you. Let's look at an example. I really like this section, so I'm going to use this bit in the program. So now I'm just going to cut this little bit out and place it in the space. A space of 5 seconds is a good place to start, but with music you can have slightly longer gaps between items, but no longer than 10 seconds. Bridge music that goes on for too long may be mistaken for a separate item in itself. So remember, the bridge music exists to bridge 2 items, not to be its own item. Okay, so I like this. All I need to do now is add a little bit in the beginning and the end, just to fade in and out. Usually this will be around 10 seconds each, but again, whatever works for you, there is no set in stone rule. First of all, make sure your on-clip volume envelope is turned on. Notice how I'm fading in and out. Here I'm using the on-clip volume envelope. I'm fading in gradually until it reaches the end of the speech, at just under half the volume. Then I bring it up to full volume quickly afterwards.
Remember this, God bought you. He paid a lot for you. So you have to use your body to live for Him, to show everyone that God is really great and good. Corinthians chapter 7. Paul answered their questions about marriage. You wrote a letter to me and asked me some questions, and now I will answer one of those questions. You asked me.
Much better. Now we are starting a new program with a section of music. We don't want the music to slowly fade in like with bridging music, so using the beginning of the piece of music would be a great start. Now, if you can't use the beginning of the piece of music, listen and find a section that you like and start from there with a small fade in. At the start of the program, you will have a title announcement, so the music will begin quieter to make room for the announcement. Then it will fade in before fading out again when the speech starts.
The first letter that Paul wrote to the Christians at Corinth.
I am Paul, and this letter is from me. God wanted me to go and tell people about Jesus Christ, so he picked me to be his special worker.
Now this example contains an introduction section, which is quite short, so there is no point in fading the music out just to have it fade back in only a short time later. In this case, I will keep the music playing during the introduction, then fade it out when we get to the next section. Now for the end of the program, you may want to end with a section of music. 10 seconds of music is a great amount of time. If you're using the end of a piece of music, don't trim off the tail end of the last note. Let it fade out naturally before you add a fade out. If you are not able to use the end of a piece of music, then a simple fade out of 6 to 10 seconds is okay. When balancing speech and music, you should always listen back and make sure the music isn't too loud and interfering with the speech. Again, you should use your own ears and judge this for yourself. Don't use bridging music with vocals in it, because it clashes with the speaker's voice. Well, that's all for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. Just like with spacing, a lot of it is subjective and requires you to listen back and judge for yourself if you've done it correctly. Just make sure that 1. The music is culturally relevant to the listener, and 2. The music is not overpowering the speech. Thanks for watching.